Question number 6. Many teachers use multimedia projectors in their lessons. State 2 issues related with the use of multimedia projectors. So you can mention this one, okay, and you can mention this. These are some of the points that you can mention. State 2 safety issues associated with the use of multimedia projects. You can mention that tripping over cable wires, tripping over trailing cables. This is one of the most common points to write. You can mention the projector on the presenter. Okay. You can mention this as well. All right. Next question. A video of a race can be recorded using a camera, either on an autonomous flying vehicle, such as a drone, or in a helicopter. A person would be needed in the helicopter to operate the camera. Describe 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of using autonomous flying vehicle drone to record the video of the race. So 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. 2 advantages, it would be that it's cheaper. Actually, one of the advantages would be it's cheaper to use a drone, right? Since it's a small thing, it's cheaper to use a drone rather than using a helicopter. Rather than using a helicopter. Now, the other advantage is that the drone could fly more closer to the competitors than a helicopter. That's because of the size. Again, the small size of a drone is giving it a lot of advantages while recording, so the drone could fly closer. In this case, the drone could fly closer. Okay. Drone could fly closer to the competitors. Than a helicopter. Okay. Than a helicopter. Disadvantage 1 is that the range of the drone may be smaller. The range of the drone may be smaller. Okay. Disadvantage 2 is that it can fly at a range and lose control signal. It could, it can fly out of range and lose control signal. Okay. Question number 8. State the most appropriate storage medium from this description. A storage medium that stores the data on the internet. This would be cloud storage. Okay. The internal storage where the current instruction is stored. This would be random access memory. Random access memory, also known as RAM. You can write that as well. RAM. A solid state storage that is used in digital cameras. This would be the flash memory. You can mention that. Flash memory in this case. Memory card, you can mention that. An optical storage medium that stores high definition HD movies. This would be a Blu-ray disc. Okay. Next question. Next question. A hospital administrator enters data from medical forms in a database. Validation and verification are both used when entering data to minimize errors. Explain what is meant by validation and verification and why they're both needed in this scenario. So this is for total 6 marks. You're going to write 3 points from, we have to write 2 points from validation and 2 points from verification, or either 3 points from either both, in this case. So what we're going to mention here is that validation, okay? Validation is an automatic computer check, okay? 2 points for validation. It's an automatic computer check, and it ensures that data entered fits the set criteria, okay? Data entered fits the set criteria. Okay, that's 2 points for validation. Now for verification, it checks that the data, on the original source document, is identical to data that you have entered in the system. Like basically whatever you input, it's validated with the original check copy of that. That's how verification is. Whatever data you input, it just checks it with the data which is already downloaded or processed somewhere. So yeah, it says identical to the data that you have entered into the system. Okay, and one of the benefits is that verification, right, ensures that data is entered correctly. It's more like how you guys save passwords. Once you type in your password, like they ask you for an input of your password, then you save that password. Then once you log in again in that system, it verifies whether you have entered the right password. That's because it stores the data of your password in the system itself. So that's more like a form of verification. Now the other point is the reason why they both are needed. Okay, now we have to answer that. 2 points we answer for validation, what validation is, and the other 2 points we answer for what verification is. Now we have to write at least 3 points, okay, for why both are needed in this scenario. Now both are needed is because okay, you're gonna write it like this. Both are needed because it is personal data. And that data needs to be correct. And if the data is incorrect, it could lead to consequences. That could be another point you can mention. And you should mention that data should be error-free to ensure that the patients are safe. And you can mention that individually they cannot detect all errors. Okay, individually they cannot detect all errors, so they cannot do that in that case. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question is, the manager of a Tavara hotel has decided to computerize the hotel's room booking system. The new booking system will allow customers to book rooms online using an app on their smartphones. The manager has employed a systems analyst who will carry out research into the current system by examining existing documentation and completed questionnaires from staff. One item of information that systems analysts will need to identify is problems with the current system. State 3 other items of information that the system analyst will need to identify. 3 points. What we're going to write is the hardware requirements. You can mention that. Hardware requirements. Then you can mention that the user requirements. Okay, user requirements for the new system. Then you can mention the information requirements for the new system. Information requirements for the new system. Okay, for the new system. Next question. Following the analysis, the systems analyst will implement the new system using either parallel running or direct changeover. Evaluate these different methods of implementation. So this is 6 points. So what you're going to do is you're going to write 3 points from parallel running and 3 points for direct changeover. So we're just going to mention parallel running, what that is. Okay, you guys have to know the definitions. Is parallel running is that the data would need to be, actually, let's erase that. Data would need to be entered twice, okay, and this could cause issues with double booking, okay. All right, so we're just gonna keep that there. With double booking, what else can we mention? Is that in parallel running, okay? Parallel running, a system is always in place. You can also mention that parallel running is more expensive. Parallel running is more expensive to operate, okay, as there are two sets of staff operating it, okay, or two systems operating. So that's at least 3 points for parallel running. Now direct changeover. What is direct changeovers is that they indirectly change the whole system immediately. So you can mention that this would be a faster method of implementation, full implementation, okay, full implementation as the hotel will not want the system to be out of use. Will not want the system to be out of use, okay. It has immediate benefits. You can mention that it has immediate benefits. You can elaborate more on that. And you can mention that no system will be in place during the changeover. Okay, these are some of the points that you can mention for this type of question for both parallel running and direct changeover. Next question, describe the benefits and drawbacks of using an online booking system. 5 marks. You can mention the benefits. You can split actually the benefits. So you can mention 3 benefits and 2 drawbacks, or you can do the reverse. You can mention 2 benefits and 3 drawbacks. But in this case, we have to mention both the benefits and the drawbacks of using an online booking system. So the benefits of using an online booking system is that it's available 24/7. So meaning it's available throughout the whole day, actually. So it's available 24/7. Therefore, it helps customers to book what they want at whatever time, to book when they want the tickets. Like you can book it in the night, you can book it in the morning, anytime. It has fewer problems, okay? Fewer problems with bookings, okay? With bookings or double bookings in this case. Then you can mention that it's easier to cancel. Okay, easier to cancel / change bookings. Now, some of the drawbacks in this case is that it needs internet access for all this to work. It needs internet access, okay, for all of it to work. And there could be some security issues due to fraud, or due to others seeing personal data. Okay, some of the other drawbacks that you can mention is that it relies on telecommunications to make the bookings, or wrong information may be added accidentally, and this may be difficult to correct. For one of the benefits, you can mention that it's a faster booking system, as people don't need to wait in queues, and it's immediate confirmation of the booking. That could be another benefit in this case. So that could be some of the other points. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. A hotel uses both a WAN and a WLAN, wide area network and wide local area network. Describe the difference between a VAN and a VLAN. Okay, hopefully that's the right way of pronouncing it. Sorry, VLAN is not wide local area network. Sorry, it is the wireless local area network. Okay, sorry about that. So for VAN, it just stands for, you can just mention that it stands for wide area network. Okay, you can mention, since this is 4, you have to mention 2 points from VAN and 2 points from VLAN. And it tends to use satellite technology. Okay, you can mention that. Tends to use satellite technology. And also this point is very important, right, for VAN, by the way. We can write that it's used over a large geographical, sorry. It's used over a large geographical area use. Okay. And for VLAN, okay, VLAN, it stands for wireless local area network. Okay, wireless local area network. And WAN stands for wide area network, and VLAN stands for wireless local area network. This covers the hotel site. You can also mention that it uses wireless technology. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Next question is, a clothing retailer only sells its clothes on the internet. Discuss the benefits and drawbacks to the clothing retailer of using internet shopping. So remember, we have to list only 3 benefits and 3 drawbacks. Okay. Some of the benefits is that it saves cost of having a store. Okay, cost of having a store. You can mention that saves cost as there's less staff needed. So there's less staff required in this case. And also large customers. Okay, large customer base. So therefore it increases the profits. Some other benefits you can mention that it saves cost of rent, insurance, utilities cost, businesses rates. You can mention that. You can also mention that the selling is not limited to the shop opening hours. So therefore, like, we can see that there's an increase in the sales. So that's some of the other benefits you can mention. Now we have to mention 3 drawbacks about this, is that it's reliant on technology. Like, the whole system is built on the technology interface itself. And it operates 24/7. Right? So it operates 24/7, therefore increased overheads. Okay, therefore increased overheads. Therefore it increases the overheads. That's the right way of saying it. And it relies on customers that only shop online. So they have to be in the online user interface experience to experience the online shopping phase. So they actually have to have some form of online experience in order to use this kind of system to buy, more like the clothing retailer to sell the clothes on the internet and to buy the clothes from the clothing retailer. The other drawbacks is that it needs a large warehouse space distribution system in this case. And there's increased cost since more staff is needed to operate the website. So it has both the benefits and the drawbacks. It just seems to counterweight balance both. Let's move on to the next question. Next question is, a customer is purchasing some new clothes from this retailer. Describe the steps that the customer would take when purchasing the new clothes from the internet shopping. So you can mention the steps is that the customer loads up the website. You can mention that the customer loads up the website. Okay. loads up. Let me just write that properly. The customer loads up the website, sets up an account. Okay, sets up an account. That's the second point. Sets up an account. He logs into the website. That's another point. Logs into the website. Enters a password. You can mention that. Enters a password. Okay. And browses. Okay, and browses through the online catalog. Through the online catalog. Okay. You can also mention that he clicks on the items required. He enters the quantity, color, size of the items. He adds items to the virtual basket in this case. And then he clicks on the virtual checkout, chooses the payment method. Then he chooses the delivery method, adds a payment, checks the details, enters, and then finally logs out of the system. These are some of the 5 points, or more than 5 points you guys can mention. But just keep the basic form of explanation is that the customer loads up the website, sets up an account, logs into the website, enters a password, and then browses through the online catalog. This is something for 5 points that you guys can mention in this case. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question is that the manager of the sports club is designing an online form for members to enter their personal details. The form must be accessible to all members of the club. State 4 characteristics of a good form design. Okay, for a good form design, it needs to be clear and visible labels. Okay, clear and visible labels for each field. Okay, then it should be easy data entry. It should be easy data entry. Okay, and the font size, actually you can mention that the font size needs to be visible. The font size should be large enough to read. Okay, people are going to read that, so it should be large enough to read. And you should mention that it should have use of navigation buttons, or like you can mention drop down boxes in this case, or you can mention like radio buttons. So use of navigation buttons, drop down boxes, and radio buttons. You can mention that. Then you can also mention basically why we're saying use of navigation buttons as a 4th point is because this is a very important thing to have in their own good form design thing. They should have use of navigation buttons, drop down boxes, and radio buttons because it makes it more friendly for the user to use, makes it more user friendly. You can also mention that they should use of sensible error messages. They should also mention some use of help buttons like you guys get in some websites. Then they should also mention some form of good use of white spaces in this case, and the language that's being used should be simple to understand. Those are some other 4 characteristics of a good form design. Okay, next question. State 2 characteristics of good form design that will help users with visual impairment to enter the data. Okay, now for this one, it's everything doing visually, right? So they should have buttons like we mentioned previously. The buttons should be large enough to see, and the font size is large enough to read. You guys can also mention that there should be use of high contrast colors. There should be use of voice entry or use of text to speech. You guys can also mention those points as well. And yeah, this seems to be the end of the paper. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And do comment below what your thoughts are about this video. And yeah, I think that's it. Alright, bye guys.